Good morning, everyone. I am Preena from BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus, and I'm pursuing my bachelor's in electrical and electronics engineering. And today I will be presenting my work on integrating seagrass extent and change for the Indian Ocean region under MRC's initiative. So, the problem that we are trying to solve is hidden in plain sight seagrasses. Though they only occupy 0.1% of the global oceanic seafloor, uh, they act as blue carbon reserves and store up to 18% of world's entire blue carbon, which is more than many tropical rainforests. They also act as a coastal shield. They minimize the shoreline wave energy that hits the coasts by 40%. And in many regions in the Pacific Ocean, they are also world's most productive fisheries. So the research, the data that exists already has many gaps. The first thing is baseline discrepancies. So the global estimates, as mentioned here, is 1,77,000 to 6 lakh kilometers square. But this is just a mere estimate, it's a guess. Second comes the turbid blind spot. So satellites, whenever they enter any water where the depth exceeds 8 meters, they they kind of misidentify the canopy from just bare mud. The third is fluid ecosystems. So there are different environmental parameters that keep on changing with time, be it the chlorophyll quantity, this dredging factors, coastal runoffs. And the fourth one, uh, the max entropy modeling. So a lot of research that currently exists is not really specific for the Indian Ocean region, and that's why they use max entropy modeling, and it ends up identifying false positives in region where it's physically impossible for the seagrasses to exist. So how do I aim to address these gaps? The first is the spatial and temporal gaps. So I've used 10-meter spatial resolution for Sentinel data. I have identified those bands which are required for the signaling, that is B2, B3, and B4. So that is basically on different colors like blue, green, and red. The second is eliminating the blind spot. And I've also used B4 and B5 because the color red, when it reaches the color red, when it is used in Sentinel mapping, the reflectance is really bad. The third is accounting for environmental fluidity, as I mentioned in my previous slide as well, and correcting the false positive errors by doing terrain stratification, changing the slope gradients in my while mapping. So the total area was around 27.4 million square kilometers, but my area of interest was much smaller because I wanted to make it more precise. So this is the Park Strait in Gulf of Mannar region in IOR, and this is how I tried drawing polygons manually. And then what I did is I marked it into I kind of classified it into tier one, tier two, tier three regions, and I've been currently working on tier four as well. I've used around a total of three data sets. The third one is still being under use. The first one being WCMC, and second one being Allen Coral Atlas. So, and then I had structured it into a six-steps GEE architecture, which is a cloud architecture. Instead of just taking raw data, that consumes a lot of terabytes. So, and then I've loaded the Sentinel-2 imagery, applied JEPCO bathymetry grids, and used water column correction. And then after doing all of this, and after rectifying the parameters and everything, I've put it into an SVM classifier. So SVM classifier is basically to identify and separate the boundaries between seagrass regions and non-seagrass regions. And also because different boundaries in the global map, they have different shapes. I mean, it could be a line, it could be a curved boundary, and so on. The tier 1 to 3 regions, including Gulf of Mannar and Park Strait, I used mostly Sentinel satellite mapping. However, the Eastern African coast, which I'll be showing in the next slide, we cannot just simply mark polygons there because the data is because the seagrasses there are patchy and very inconsistent. So it is a four-step process. So having a scriptable workflow, which is like the code. The second is debugging. So while doing it, I faced quite a few challenges. I mean, I was using scaling parameters which were leading to overload of the server, and then there were sampling errors and miscalculation of the field names and field values as well. So the later I built the training set, and rectified those. And the classifier, as I said, I use SVM. And then finally, so I used it all in using Python API. I used Google Colab, and and then later reproduced it into GitHub for reproducibility. So as it's listed here, quite a few metrics are listed here. So the confusion matrix, I went through like 2, 3 iterations. Third iteration isn't mentioned here. Here, I went through 2 iterations, and I tried uh, increasing the accuracy uh, by changing the scaling and parameters. So this is the over accuracy. I changed it from 71.7 to 80.17, because earlier it was just guessing the classes, and it was giving the same values for any kind of data that you change output. So yeah, the root cause was raw reflectance values in the thousands, and then I rescaled it. So for Gulf of Mannar, I achieved something like this, which shows the seagrasses regions. So on the left, these are basically islands in the Eastern African coast. And as I was saying, we cannot use polygon data. I had to shift to point data, so that we get it more consistent. So this was using Sentinel, and this is where I mark polygons. This is for point data, where I used maximum entropy. So the type for region classification is still left, and I'm currently working on making the Bay of Bengal region mapping more accurate, because it has turbid waters. The most important part of the project is MSP integration. So first is to get a normalized baseline. Second is having quantifiable buffer zones, and by that I mean, so even though initially I just used 10-meter spatial resolutions, but we need to have room for error. So like we need to scale it to maybe 20 to 30 meters, so that we can identify what exactly the land is being used for, whether it's for some resort developments or for some commercial use. Third is actionable GIS layers. So as I've been using the QGIS software for exporting the data, here is where I get the layers. So this is just a decision matrix which I had framed quite in the beginning. So it has the environment, the kind of environment, and what regions in the IOR exactly fall into that environment, the methodology that I used, and why did I use it. A few deliverables could be the cloud earth engine architecture, which I have. Error verified atlases as well. Um, uh, I do have per pixel confidence flags, so that we get an honest carbon accounting, not just guessing it. And third is high fidelity spatial overlays. So there's a lot of future scope in this as well for policymakers and people in marine developmental projects. The first is use of underwater vehicles, side scan sonars. The second is there are many science citizens platforms to validate those high turbidity patches. And third is achieving a long term ocean governance mechanism. Yeah, thank you.